Hey everyone, welcome back to Corporate Dakota, the place where we try to avoid getting buried under mountains of corporate legalese and discover the hidden truth inside financial filings. Today we're diving into a filing from Ryerson Holding Corporation and let's just say Teresa merger of interests we need to unpack. Scroll the 28th of October 2025, the 28th of October 2025, scroll so on the 28th of October 2025, Ryerson Holding Corporation put out some important news. Think of this like a company dropping a big announcement, but they have to tell the government about it in a very specific way through what's called a Form 8. Okay, it's like a public diary for companies making major moves. We're going to decode what this filing means beyond just the dates and officialese. Right off the bat, this form tells us Ryerson is checking a box for something called written communications pursuant to Rule 425 under the Securities Act. Basically, this means some of the information they're releasing today is being shared not just in the official filing, but also through other written materials, likely press releases and presentations, that are part of the bigger story. It is a heads up that more details are coming through different channels. Now let's talk about what Ryerson actually does. They are a metal distributor and processor, meaning they buy metal in bulk, process it, and then sell it to other businesses. Their stock, the ticker symbol is RY, is traded on the New York Stock Exchange. This filing is touching on what's happening with their business and also some pretty significant news about their future. One of the key reasons for this filing is to announce their financial results for the quarter ending the 30th of September, 2025. Companies have to regularly report how they are performing financially, and this is how Ryerson is sharing that information. They put out a press release and a presentation to go along with this, and we'll be looking at the highlights from that. But remember, they're saying this part of the filing isn't considered filed in the same way as some other parts. That's a bit of legal nuance, but it basically means they're being cautious about how this specific financial information is interpreted for regulatory purposes. The press release Exhibit 99.1 is where we get the nitty-gritty of their quarterly performance. While the document itself doesn't directly show the numbers from the press release, we know it contains their financial results for the third quarter of 2025. This is where we typically find details on revenue, profit margins, and any significant changes in their business performance. When companies release their earnings, it is a crucial moment for investors to understand if the company is growing, shrinking, or staying steady. It influences how people feel about investing in the company and what its future prospects look like. But the real bombshell in this filing is under item 7.01, which is for Regulation FD disclosure. This is where they announce some major strategic news. Ryerson announced they have entered into an agreement and plan of merger with another company called Olympic Steel Incorporated. This means Ryerson and Olympic Steel are planning to combine. Specifically, Olympic Steel will merge with and into a subsidiary of Ryerson, meaning Olympic Steel will become a wholly owned part of Ryerson. This is a huge deal, a merger that could reshape the landscape of metal distribution. Accompanying this merger announcement is a joint investor presentation Exhibit 99.4. This is where the companies try to sell the vision of this merger to investors. They'll likely talk about the benefits, like cost savings, expanded market reach, and how this combination will make them stronger. It's the company's way of saying this is why this merger is good for everyone involved. These presentations often highlight synergies, which is a fancy word for how combining companies can do things more efficiently or effectively than they could apart. For example, they might consolidate offices, streamline logistics, or combine purchasing power to get better prices on raw materials. Beyond the big merger news, there is also a mention of a quarterly cash dividend. The board of directors declared a dividend of $0.1875 per S-share of common stock, payable in December. This means that as of December, shareholders will receive a small cash payment for each share they own. Dividends are a way for companies to distribute a portion of their profits back to their investors, and it's often seen as a sign of financial health and confidence in future earnings. However, they also mention that future dividends, if any, will depend on the board's approval. Now, almost every corporate filing includes a section like this called forward-looking statements. This is super important because it is the company telling you, in plain English, that they are making predictions about the future. They use words like anticipates, believes, expects, and intends, they are basically saying. Here is what we hope will happen, but things might not turn out exactly as we say. They are required to do this to protect themselves legally. If their predictions don't come true, they can point to this section and say, hey, we warned you. This section is packed with potential risks associated with the proposed merger. They list a whole lot of things that worry them. For example, they are concerned about getting shareholder approvals from both Ryerson and Olympic Steel, and also getting the necessary okay from government regulators. They worry that these approvals might come with unexpected conditions that could hurt the new combined company. They also mention the risk that the merger might not be completed at all, or that it might take longer than expected. This is where you see the companies being upfront about the challenges and uncertainties involved in such a big undertaking. One of the most critical risks they highlight is their ability to stay competitive in the metals distribution industry. This is a tough business, and they acknowledge that they are concerned about maintaining their market share, especially with ongoing uncertainties and the cost of goods sold. This means they are worried about competitors changing market demands and their ability to buy metals cheaply enough to make a profit when they sell them. This part, no offer or solicitation, is a legal disclaimer. It means this document is not an advertisement to buy or sell stock, nor is it trying to get people to vote a certain way. They are very careful to state that any actual offering of securities will only happen through a proper prospectus, which is a detailed document that provides all the necessary information for potential investors. It's a standard way for companies to manage legal expectations around these kinds of announcements. This section is all about what will happen next before the merger is finalized. Ryerson and Olympic Steel are going to file more documents with the Securities and Exchange Commission. These documents will include a joint proxy statement and a registration statement on Form S-4. The proxy statement is what gets sent to shareholders to explain the deal and ask for their vote. The S-4 is a more complex registration statement that essentially registers the stock or securities involved in the merger. They are urging investors to read all these documents carefully because they will contain crucial details about the transaction. This is another legal bit explaining who might be considered participants in trying to get votes for the merger. It includes the directors and top executives of both Ryerson and Olympic Steel. They're letting everyone know that these individuals might have interest in the merger and that information about them will be disclosed in the upcoming filings. It is a way of ensuring transparency about who is advocating for the deal. Finally, we get to the exhibits. These are the actual documents that back up the filing. We have the press releases and presentations we've talked about detailing the quarterly results and the merger. There is also something called Cover Page Interactive Data File. This is basically an electronic version of the cover page of the report, formatted so computers can read and process it more easily. It is part of the SEX. It's moved towards making financial data more accessible and analyzable. So, what's the big story here? Ryerson Holding Corporation, a metals distributor, is not just reporting modest quarterly results. They are making a seismic shift by announcing a merger with Olympic Steel. This isn't just about blending two companies, it is about creating a potentially larger, more dominant player in a very competitive market. Looking at the financials, we'd want to see the actual numbers from the press release to fully assess Ryerson's recent performance. However, the fact that they are pushing forward with a major merger suggests a belief from their leadership that combining forces is the best path to future growth and profitability. One of the biggest challenges and therefore risks is integrating two large companies smoothly. Will they achieve those much talked about synergies, or will the process be messy and costly? The metals industry is known for its cyclical nature and price volatility, so the combined entity will need to be nimble and resilient to navigate these challenges. The declaration of a dividend, while seemingly minor compared to the merger, does signal a degree of confidence from the board. However, the caveat that future dividends are subject to board approval is standard, reminding us that shareholder returns are never guaranteed. In conclusion, this filing is a pivotal moment for Ryerson. The merger with Olympic Steel is the headline, a bold move to consolidate their position. The success of this deal will hinge on their ability to execute the integration effectively, manage the inherent risks of the metals industry, and ultimately deliver on the promises of enhanced value for their shareholders. It is a high-stakes play, and we'll be watching closely to see how it unfolds. Alright, that is our breakdown of Ryerson's latest corporate move. What's your take on this merger? Do you think it's a smart bet for Ryerson and Olympic Steel? Drop your thoughts in the comments below. If you found this analysis helpful, please hit that like button. It really helps us out, and subscribe for more corporate deconstructions. Don't forget to check out our Discord community, linked in the description for more discussions. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you on the next decoding.